He is the Senior Research Fellow in the Border Security and Immigration Center at the Heritage Foundation. Also with us is Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland of Terrell County, Texas, as well as a retired Border Patrol agent. Simon, we'll begin with you. This is roughly an 89,000 increase of border encounters than in February of 2021. How alarming is this rise?
It's terrifying if you look at it over a 3-year period. I was just looking at the numbers over the past few months. We're talking about over 250,000 pretty much every month since Biden took office. Now, that's not even counting those that got away that were never detected. And it's not counting the 500,000 plus that come in under these Parole-a-Palooza programs for Cubans, Nicaraguans, Haitians, Ukrainians, Afghans, and so on. So these numbers are scary, and they are just not going down.
And Sheriff, I want to talk about the illegals that rushed the troops in El Paso, Texas. This video here, shot by the New York Post, shows them ripping down razor wire fence and stampeding National Guard soldiers. Multiple reports say the migrants involved are starting to be charged, but what kind of punishment should be handed down to them? And if punishments are light, what does that do to the already low morale for those protecting our border?
Hey, good morning. And to talk about that, of course, it's unspeakable that those actions. But let me tell you what, that's where our state and locals come in. Look, if our assistant U.S. attorneys aren't going to prosecute those individuals or aren't going to hold them accountable, keep them incarcerated, they're just going to return them loose on the streets, because many of those countries that were just mentioned, they're not taking their people back. So they're going to be left on the streets of the United States. That's where, again, local and state law enforcement come in. We can prosecute those people. We've done it here in Terrell County. If the assistant U.S. attorney won't seek prosecution, we certainly will, and we'll keep them incarcerated as long as we can.
And Simon, President Biden hasn't done much for immigration since visiting the border wall. While he focused on a big fundraiser at Radio City in Manhattan, look at what Texas Governor Greg Abbott has done. Since the El Paso incident, he's added more razor wire, he's put more National Guard soldiers in place, and he's extended the border wall. So is it safe to say that the Texas governor is doing more about illegal immigration than our president?
I think it's safe to say that almost anybody is doing more about illegal immigration than our president. It doesn't appear that President Biden has any intention of changing course now. If he thought it would cost him the election, he'd probably make some effort. I think ICE is probably going to try to charge some of those people that crossed over, in that disastrous sort of bum rush that we saw just a few minutes ago. But overall, 85%, give or take, are released at the border. And as the sheriff said, they're not being prosecuted at the federal level for breaking our law, and they're not being detained.
Yeah, Sheriff Cleveland, Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrested over 200 illegals for dealing drugs. And with the president dragging his feet over illegal immigration, is he also making the opioid crisis grow at the same time?
Hey, 100%. And you look, once Eagle Pass kind of started to slow down, we saw a 3.5-ton seizure of methamphetamines at the Eagle Pass port of entry, and we've seen some subsequent seizures there. There's no doubt that with all that confusion, everything that was going on, if they attempted to smuggle over 6,000 pounds of meth, then certainly what were they getting through our ports of entry? But going back to that previous question, I must say, President Biden is fighting Governor Abbott a lot more than he's fighting the cartels in Mexico.
And Simon, Governor Abbott isn't the only governor taking action against illegal immigrants. You have Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He's increasing security in the Sunshine State to stop Haitians who are escaping their country. And what kind of message is he sending to Americans living in Florida or prospective Floridians?
I think he's sending the message that, at least in the state of Florida, the rule of law still obtains. On a national level, not so much. We've seen this before play out with Haiti. The country falls apart, unfortunately, every generation or so. And there's often a mass exodus, and different presidents from Reagan, Carter, Clinton have had to figure out how to deal with it. I'm just afraid that the Biden administration doesn't have a plan other than paroling in, 10, 20,000 a month through this special program they have. So I really hope that they're doing more than it looks like they're doing from the surface.
Simon Hankinson and Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland, thank you so much for being here, and a happy Easter to you both.
Happy Easter. God bless.